Back underneath the square body here real quick, I want to get these fuel lines out of the way. I dropped some of the wires down from up top. We got the starter mounted. I want to try and get some of the starter wires hooked up and just get these fuel lines out of the way because we are getting ready to take the bed off. And then we can, I'm hoping I can change that sending unit, put the new pump in the tank with the bed off. If not, then we're gonna have to drop this tank on the passenger side. Here is the one he's gonna use, but we'll see. So we got the front fuel lines removed. That's the return. The feed was over here. The filter actually sat right here. All that we got removed, and Hot Rod Fuel Hoses actually supplied a kit for this thing with the Corvette fuel filter with the internal regulator. So we'll be able to, I think I'm gonna mount it probably right about here. And again, this is the feed, this is the return. So we'll tap into these and then it'll be just one out of that filter and one line up. Pulled the bed off because we just got a phone call. The customer, the owner of this truck, picked up another bed, which I knew he did. And he wants to pick up the bed that just came off and swap it out for the better dually bed that he picked up. So that's fine, we got it off, and now's the perfect opportunity to tackle that sending unit. And I don't know if I mentioned it, I think I did, but Hot Rod Fuel Hoses is on board with this project. We have a whole box of stuff here along with a new sending unit for the passenger side and all the fittings we need to make that work, along with the Corvette fuel filter that has the internal regulator, which will make this job a lot quicker, easier. They have their line here, and we do have a pump also. So we'll put this pump in that sending unit, pull that sending unit out, and with that ring undone, lines unhooked, electrical undone. To answer that question, you can pull these a little bit tight, but you can pull these with the tank still in. So probably gonna get splashed here. Oh, might have got it. Get that float to come out of there. Float. That's a big float. No wonder it wouldn't come out of there. So let's take this outside so it doesn't drain. So now we can get all that cleaned up, make sure the tank looks good, and get our new unit put down in there. So we got that taken care of. We got the new bed unloaded. Old bed's out of here. New bed sitting on the truck, although it does have to be probably picked up and slid back so I can finish the install of that sending unit, get that all squared away. But for right now, it was safer just to set it on the truck. But definitely a lot nicer than the bed that came off. We got our new pump assembly all assembled here. Again, this is from Hot Rod Fuel Hoses. They have a lot of nice square body kits. It's a new sender, new pump, higher pressure pump, or not necessarily, well, a higher pressure than the square body we would use, but also a higher flowing pump for the LS, and new harness, the whole deal. It's a nice piece, and we have enough room, I think, to get that in there. If not, we'll have to lift the bed back up and just pull it off, but it was a lot more convenient just to drop the bed on the truck than try and find another spot to put it. So let me get this cleaned up a little bit, and we do have the O-ring to go in it also for the top. Got that all done, everything's hooked up. The only thing we gotta do is we actually gotta pull that ground wire off top of the frame, clean it up, attach the new ground wire in the new harness off that sending unit, and actually plug into the truck harness. But we can do that from underneath. We'll slip the bed back up now. Back underneath here, here's our valve that changes between the two tanks. And all the lines, like I said before, look really good. It's really amazing how nice all this still looks. So the new sending unit's in, all them lines are hooked up. They come over to the valve. They run through the valve and come down to these three lines right here. And this one and this one are the ones we're going to be using, so we'll end up cutting this fitting off and we'll use this compression fitting, put it on there, it changes it to an AN, and then we'll be able to use our AN fittings to go to the Corvette fuel filter with the built-in regulator. So we'll have pressure in, return back out, and one single line going from here all the way up to the fuel rail on the engine. So this will be a nice setup for us. Again, all of this came from Hot Rod Fuel Hose, and everything so far that they've sent looks really, really nice. So we're going to continue on. The benefit of doing it like this is you still have both fuel tanks. The downside is you do have to put new fuel pumps in both tanks to do this, to run enough volume and pressure for the LS. But I think it's a good trade-off for having both tanks functional. We picked a good spot on the frame here. I got both lines cut. Now we have our fittings from, again, Hot Rod Fuel Hoses. I think it actually, yep, says it right there on it. So we'll take them and slip them on there. This will be easier with one hand. Just make sure the ferrule goes all the way on. You can actually take them apart and make sure, but here, let's take one apart real quick and I'll show you how they work. And kind of show you the exploded view, you slip the nut part on first, the ferrule last, and then the body goes on, goes up, push the ferrule against it, and then the nut goes down, just screws onto the body. And like I said, as you tighten it up, it crushes that ferrule and makes a nice firm seal, and that'll be plenty for what we're doing here. And moving right along, we have our hose ends kind of screwed on here. They'll have to come back off, obviously, to make the hose, but to get our lengths, I'm going to screw them on there. So they'll come off here. They'll come over to our filter that we have mounted, and they did give us the quick connects right here. This one is a 3/8 quick connect to an AN6 male EFI quick connects. So I'll show you how these work once I unscrew them. And in the front of this filter, I have a hose end screwed on, but it's a quick connect male end. And it did not, there it goes, you can hear it click there. So we're good with that. And this will have a hose. Like I said, there's a hose end on it, just for reference. It'll get a hose put on, and this will run all the way up to our fuel rail, and that's all that will go from here up to the engine. So from here, one up to the fuel rail. Here we'll have a 3/8 that comes off of this 3/8 line. We'll make a hose in between that, and this 5/16 line will go to this 5/16 return line. So if you look at these are the hose ends, or the quick connects that we're getting ready to install. And you can see the nut has a slot in it there. So pretty much you take and you unscrew. You'll see what I'm doing here in a second. You'll unscrew that. So there's the nut that will slip over the line and then screw back into this fitting. And this fitting, if you can see inside there, it's got green O-rings, and that's actually what seals on this. We put it on the right one. So that's the 3/8. It'll slip on, and then we'll take this other piece here that's threaded. It slips over, and then it actually threads to this piece. We have that screwed on. We'll take and snug them up, and as you can see, that's not coming off. We'll get that done, get our hose ends on all of this, and then we'll start measuring and cutting hoses. We have all of our fittings on there. I think we're gonna kind of do a 45 off here and get that up, and then we'll start screwing the, we have some retainers that also came with this kit, so hose clamps, and we'll start attaching to the inside of that frame and keeping it clear up out of the way, but this will kind of get shot up as it goes up over the front suspension. And we'll figure out a good route to go from this frame rail to up around the back of the engine. Maybe through here, maybe actually through here. There's a shield right here, so probably end up doing that. But for now, it's time to start measuring and actually making some lines. And we did get that last line made. We got it routed up behind that heat shield there, and kind of behind on top of the bell housing, goes right up, and it's actually hooked up to the fuel rail already. That'll have to maybe come back off once or twice, but everything down here as far as fuel system is now complete. There's where we started, into the filter regulator, and then all the way up to the engine, nicely routed out of the way. And again, we have that new sender. There's the wiring harness right there for the sender, so all that's good also. So now I guess it's going to be onto the exhaust system since we're down underneath here. But stay tuned. This project's coming along, and we're going to try and speed it up here a little bit and get it done. Thanks for stopping by. Have a good day. All right, guys, if you stayed to the end, here's a sneak peek of a top secret project we're doing, and it's going to be kind of a game changer.